if anybody is watching this or listening and has a franchise background, they're thinking, okay, why is Ryan on emerging franchise brands? AlphaGraphics is definitely not an emerging brand. So I had the pleasure of bringing you on as a franchise industry expert, and we're going to talk about AlphaGraphics and actually services that you provide to emerging brands as well. But first, Ryan, let me ask you, everybody knows AlphaGraphics, but would you share maybe a little bit about how the company started and where it is today?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, AlphaGraphics is well over 50 years now. So started franchising in 1970. We've got over 250 plus locations throughout the U.S., locations in Saudi Arabia, Brazil. So fantastic group. But we're far from done, right? So as you can imagine, we could have easily 700 locations in the U.S. So it's a great brand and continuing to grow really well. In fact, the last several years, pandemic and coming out of the pandemic have been some of the best years ever for AlphaGraphics. Our growth is super strong. Our owners' profitability, which I think is one of the most important aspects, has grown into the mid double digits, which is just phenomenal. And our continued ability to attract new businesses and new owners into the business has just been great. So we love the AlphaGraphics group. They provide great print marketing collateral. And I think that kind of brings us to some of the opportunities where we think AlphaGraphics can help other franchise brands with their print marketing needs. Nobody knows franchising better than a franchise themselves. So it's a great
That's
opportunity.
true. So let's talk about how you guys do help emerging brands, since that is mostly our audience or people looking to buy a franchise. But for those emerging franchise founders that feel lost and are looking for marketing, collateral material, and needing that kind of support, again, nobody would know it better than you guys. So maybe you could share a little bit about what you guys do for emerging brands.
Yeah, great question. So if you think about franchising, and honestly, I wish I would have done it myself before my own business a few decades back. But the value of a franchise is you got a proven system, a proven model, brand reputation to help that entrepreneur be that much more successful, or have those guardrails to put them on the path to success, which is really dominant on sales and marketing, right? Those are really big key attributes. So whether you're a franchisee looking for those proven systems that get you to that break even, get you to those customers better, faster, more efficiently, or you're the franchisor trying to scale that to your franchise partners, that is the value that we're trying to work with other franchise brands to solve, right? So having 50 plus years literally focused on helping other companies with their sales and marketing, we know we can help other, let's say, entrepreneurs, franchise owners with that exact same blueprint. How do you get your brand into your local market in the best possible way that gives you the best possible ROI? And then as you're a franchisor, how do you maintain your brand control? How do you leverage your marketing funds so that you maximize every dollar? And then ultimately make sure your franchise partners are as successful as possible. So what we've done within the AlphaGraphics brand is basically create that platform where a 250, let's say, independently owned and operated AlphaGraphics can now operate almost like one family to another family brand, right? So if you have ABC brand with 20 locations or 10 locations, we have probably an AlphaGraphics within 200 miles. Almost of every major area, we're 200 miles away or less. So we can be on site, we can provide consultation, or you can go online to our franchise marketing platform and order whatever those marketing assets are under your brand, within your brand controls. So if you can imagine, this is helping a franchisor scale, good marketing collateral right into the hands of their franchise partners. Could be from the marketing fund, which is great, or could be just better purchasing power so that owner can get good deals, which is another value, right?
Sure.
So that they can be better in their market. So we've really just kind of platformed that. We call it AG Enterprise, and we use that to help other franchise partners grow.
Yeah, well, Ryan, that's great. I think that as an emerging founder, or former emerging founder, it is never too soon for that franchisor to make sure that they do have brand control over what is being sent out across the network. And one of the mistakes we make when we're starting out, again, we often don't know what we don't know as a franchisor when we've never done this before. And so we think, well, I'm kind of new. I'll just kind of tell people, give them guidelines, and I'll approve each thing individually. It's time consuming. It's not efficient. And quite honestly, you are just going to lose control of the reins, because at what point are you going to start saying that I need to have some sort of guardrails? I think you rephrased that earlier, that you need to have some sort of guardrails for your marketing material. It's never, ever too soon to do that. Not to mention, you attract franchise owners because of the features that you have, and because you can show them that you have marketing collateral materials, by the way, that are already done, as opposed to saying, oh, well, you go ahead and find a local printer near you and we'll go ahead and pre-approve it. That doesn't sound like a franchise that I'd want to be part of.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really exactly what happens, right? You put a lot of effort into creating a brand. You probably run some company stores, prove the value. You focus on training. Then you focus on getting in the right owners. Then all of a sudden there's this brand, like, oh, I need to create a brand standard. Okay, I got the brand standard. And then you leave it to your brand new franchise partner to execute.
Right.
Well, what if they're printing this thing off a PowerPoint, right, and handing that to customers, or they're going to the wrong provider and your red turns to orange, right? All of a sudden, the one thing you need most, which is your brand consistently represented in the market, begins to erode. But it's not only that. I mean, your franchise partners don't want to hurt the brand. They just don't know any better. So not giving them some guidelines, or, hey, did you know, here's how to do it on social media. Here's how to put it in paid clicks. Here's how to put it on your car. Here's how to put it on your window, your door. So all of a sudden, your ability to scale becomes really challenging, right? And your marketing budget, as we all know, when you're first starting, isn't really that big, right? So whether you're running a 2% or a 10% marketing fund, 2 and 10% of zero is still zero. So giving these partners, more assets that they can use, and then the purchasing power to say, hey, this is cost effective and we're using our leverage to give you better value, I think is instrumental, right? And getting them to that break even is even more important, right? So doing it the right way is I think, a key to success.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, I want the audience to get to know you a little bit better, and not just as this guy who's the president of 6 brands internationally, 3,200 units, and 52 countries? Did I write that correctly?
Yes, 52 countries.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing.
All right. I want to get back to Ryan as a child. I understand you started your entrepreneurial journey at 13 years old. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I was, I moved in my, let's say that 5th, 6th grade year into the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And lo and behold, my next door neighbor had a shiny red convertible Porsche. Okay, so now we're talking the late 80s, Tom Cruise era, for those of us that remember those days. The convertible Porsche was the dream for most of us. And he had one in his parking lot. And I asked my dad, I said, hey, who is our neighbor, and what does he do for a living? And he said, the only way you're going to find out is go talk to him. So he made me go talk to him, which is good, skills. And he proceeded to tell me that he's an entrepreneur, okay? And I didn't know that word, never mind how to spell it at that age. So again, I had to use the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is a whole nother chapter in my life, to learn what entrepreneur was. So then I figured out, okay, he's his own business, and that set the course for me immediately. I want to be that, right? I want that, ability to call the shots, run a business. And then lo and behold, it turned out he was a franchise with the Domino's, right? So he owned the majority of Domino's in the market. So then I got introduced to the franchising model accidentally. Still talk to him to this day. He's still in that business to this day. So that was probably the start of my ambition to be an entrepreneur. And, by my high school years, I started building websites back in the days where, it was still Netscape Navigator and you're competing with the Yellow Pages. Yep. In college, continued that, then started a property management business. And then just kind of continued to evolve into my career where Had my own business for close to a decade doing technology services and software. And then I sold that business in 2015. And a friend of mine was at AlphaGraphics and said, "Hey, can you come help us out with our technology?" And I thought it was interesting. I thought, okay, this is an interesting business model. I'll go, work with it for a little bit, and fell in love. I mean, it's probably the best blend of entrepreneurial work and corporate work you can ever find. And now I've been doing it since 2015, 9 years later, and every day is still refreshing, exciting. There's nothing like working with people that have their own skin in the game, and you're not going to make them do anything. So it's all about making sure it works for them, it's valuable for them, and they're going to give you really raw, good feedback all along the way. Which for those that might be listening, thinking about the franchise model, that is the best part of it, right? Is that
yes, sir.
You only win if you both win, right? It's not about a franchisor or a franchisee. It is about an ecosystem that is all about winning, about providing success, creating good wealth, and also that good family work lifestyle that everybody's aspiring toward, right? It's a different way of providing for yourself, your family, your ambitions, and I love it. I really, really love it.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.